Let's Rock Washington, a rock climbing guidebook for the new to intermediate sport climber. That's routes in the 50 to 510D range. After discovering rock climbing here in Washington, I've been organising a climbing meetup for about 8 years now, and have run over 200 trips for climbers ranging from experts to those touching rock for the very first time. With literally hundreds of people's input from every walk of life, I've been putting together a guidebook intended specifically for those that helped me create it. As I explored what this new sport had to offer, I inevitably gathered the usual library of books, PDFs, printouts, rumours and online scraps, and while these are all fantastic resources, I noticed that some guidebooks tended to direct their beta toward the higher level climber. Some areas only had drawings or black and white photos and were somewhat outdated or hadn't even been covered. I realised that while it's great to have goals, these high level and trad heavy guidebooks were of limited use to your average climber. So based on the experiences I've had over the years, I compiled them into a guidebook that would be accessible to new and intermediate climbers. To this end, I've included GPS coordinates, approach photos where they are needed, maps, and generously sized, well-lit images taken from the base of the route for ease of identification. Also included are camping options and suggestions, and if there are other activities, like a nearby lake, I've included those as well. It's spiral bound so you can easily keep the book open at your chosen page when you're out at a crag, and the chapters are all colour coded at the bottom. I'm based in the Seattle area, so obviously the book features the well-known local spots as well as farther out climbs that will range from a day trip to much more. I've included easy and intermediate climbs at exit 32 and 38, with some of the more obscure spots like Trucktown, Shakespeare and McClellan, as well as all the classic areas at Farside, Deception and Mount Washington. In Clay Ellum, there's the brand new Funcadia and the multi-pitch options that have also appeared in the area. And Fossil Rock, Mineral Rock, Eagle Rock, and a little bit of Leavenworth. There's the recently opened Keecheless Ridge, and of course everything in the climbing hotspot that is Vantage. Plus, there's the often overlooked delights at Titan, with Lava Point, Oasis, The Cave, but also recent additions like Chunkyard, Jayhawk, Elk Camp, and others. And of course, Mazama, with Fun Rock and Prospector, and all the amazing expansion that gives us AWOL, Hairpin, Europa, The Matrix, Peregrine, Chewok, and Dichotomy, without overlooking the classic multi-pitches of Prime Rib and Methow Inspiration. Plus the almost unknown but rather awesome climbing that awaits you at Banks Lake. Now, with Squamish as close a drive as Mazama, there's the new areas at Woodstock and Powerhouse Springs, and all the new stuff at Area 44, Distillery, Pillory, and the classics at Nordic, Czech, and Chuck Chuck. I always find that the climbing in Oregon is well worth the drive, so I included a detailed look at French's Dome and Bulow Point, but also newer areas such as the towering roots of the Cathedral and the copious amount of climbing at Spring Mountain and Fiddler's Hell. And of course, we can't forget the legendary Smith Rock. Popping across the border from Spokane, we also have Quemlin Park in Idaho, with numerous excellent crags that are definitely worth checking out. Now, even with all the climbing in Washington, there are some superb areas the new and moderate climber might like to explore, places accessible by a quick plane ride. A jaunt to Salt Lake City gets you Maple Canyon in Utah with an absolute deluge of climbs in our range. And of course Nevada, with the world-class routes of Red Rocks, but also the largely undocumented numerous limestone treats at Lone Mountain and Mount Charleston. And lastly, once a year, I try and organise a trip to somewhere further afield and fun. And so I've added a couple of bonus chapters for those places we decided are well worth checking out. Owens River Gorge in California, Mount Rushmore and Spearfish Canyon in South Dakota, and Muir Valley and Miller Fork in Kentucky, with a final teaser to check out what the Caribbean has to offer in Puerto Rico and Cuba. As you can see, I've got the print proof, and I'm ready for the printers to start cranking it out. But printing books isn't cheap, so any assistance in meeting the cost would be awesome. I have had an absolutely phenomenal time learning to climb here in Washington and in broadening out into other areas, meeting people and making great friends along the way. And now I'd like to share what I've discovered to help others acquire the same exceptional experience I myself have had. Let's rock! It's a magazine-sized full-colour rock climbing guidebook with more than 400 pages of routes, friendly information and details for those of us dreaming of but currently falling short of crushing 514s. Thanks so much.